Hey YouTube friends, I want to give a little bit of a discussion on why I think Monero is a fantastic investment. And this involves experiences of my own life, my friends, the people I talk to every day. This is a problem that is affecting people that are around me, and Monero is solving a problem. So first, what the problem is that a number of people in the alt-right have found that their Coinbase account has been suspended for donating money to, what was, until it got its domain seized, the #1 site and the alternative right. Um, there's a number of people who have reported other things related to this. Um, what's happened is that cryptocurrencies, now that they're worth $150 billion, have invited the scrutiny of a lot of international regulators. Um, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network now forces them to do some level of due diligence upon examining the source and the destination of funds. There's an unprecedented level of tracking here to determine which Bitcoin goes where, and it's led to various harms on the fungibility of Bitcoin. So let's say you buy Bitcoin at Coinbase, right? You send it somewhere to a far-right internet forum. That Bitcoin had a stated spot price of, however much you spent to buy the Bitcoin, but the actual marginal cost of that is much higher, right? And that you've got to spend your time getting a new Bitcoin exchange account somewhere. The time and the energy that you spent dedicating yourself to using a given exchange has now been wasted, right? And if you put any reasonable dollar value on your time, right, the amount of value that's been lost is probably greater than the amount of Bitcoin that you sent to whoever you were sending it to. Beyond that, a number of other parties that are not, political dissidents have also have some problems, right? I have a friend that that's just a normie IT guy, right? And he bought some bitcoins from somebody, and they froze his accounts just because maybe those bitcoins came from a illicit transaction, and he doesn't know, but they won't tell him. And this guy's in his 50s with multiple kids, an engineer in Texas, never said a offensive statement in his life. This is a normie, you know, a relative normie that works in the technology industry. So this is affecting all sorts of people that aren't me, and it's also affecting people that are doing illicit transactions, right? They don't want their Bitcoin being trapped. They don't want their coins marked, and because that will reduce the fungibility of those coins, right? If you're consistently selling somebody Bitcoin, and that person takes that Bitcoin to an exchange, and that exchange freezes all their assets as a result, right? That's an attack on the fungibility of that Bitcoin. The person he sold the Bitcoin to is going to come to him and be like, "Dude, you got my shit frozen. You need to pay me back for this." Or they're just not going to, they're going to lose a place to sell Bitcoin to. So it's a big problem now, is that Bitcoin is no longer adequately fungible, and you have no idea when you receive a Bitcoin whether or not that Bitcoin is actually going to be tradable at an exchange. So it's a huge problem. So so there's a solution to this problem. It's called Monero, and the trading volumes on Monero are sky high right now. It's indicative. The trading volumes are about equal to Ethereum, which over the long term bodes really well for Monero. It's about to get listed at a major Korean exchange, but what makes Monero great is that the transactions are virtually super private. Nobody can see what balance you have. It's really hard. You can specify a different ring size. It's like got an inbuilt tumbling mechanism. So it truly approaches a cryptocurrency system that is selected specifically for privacy and fungibility. And I think over the long term, this is going to be a huge thing. If the regulatory structure is now being used for thought crime, basically, right? Like, you support a political cause we oppose to. This is unprecedented. This has never happened. It's not like you would donate to a political organization previously, and your bank, right, would be like, yeah, you can't do business with us anymore. This has never happened before. So now, for the first time in history, we have a situation with Bitcoin where it is actually inferior to fiat, and that's a problem. And this is a problem that Monero solves. If you buy the Bitcoin, you trade it to Monero, you send that Monero to somebody, you're not going to get your exchange account shut off. You're totally in the clear. Nobody's going to ever, know where your Monero went. That's a huge, huge advantage in terms of privacy and fungibility. And at some point you got to ask, like, well, why do I have Bitcoin in the middle of this sandwich? Like, what's the point of Bitcoin? And some of those transactions, especially as Monero gets on big exchanges, some of these transactions are just going to go straight to Monero, because now personally I want Monero. I think people should send me Monero. I at this point value it higher than Bitcoin, because I don't know the fungibility of this Bitcoin. I don't know my ability to trade that Bitcoin in exchange. And in some ways, for me in my niche, and this isn't universal, right? But for me in my political niche, now the channels that I have to accept fiat are now some more reliable than Bitcoin, and this is not happened before, right? So I think Monero is going to grow. I think it's going to grow huge. If the fungibility attacks on Bitcoin are affecting me, then they're going to affect a ton of other people. Salat shakra. Спасибо. И shot. So yeah, that's the long and short of it. I hope you guys get in on the Monero, because I think it's going to be big. I'm holding Monero. I'm going to buy more Monero. Send me Monero. I'll put my Monero address in this YouTube video. So send me some Monero. All right, dudes. Have a good one.